If you're enjoying this Witch podcast, then you might also be interested in listening to other podcasts that we have to offer, like Witch Shorts. Witch Shorts is our weekly podcast that brings you a flavour of what the Witch magazine has to offer, as well as our dedicated travel, gardening and tech magazines too. Each week we handpick a review, investigation or feature that was printed in one of our magazines and written by one of our award-winning writers. We then bring it to life on the podcast. So, to get a taster of what Witch members get in our suite of magazines, be sure to listen to Witch Shorts wherever you get your podcasts.
If you've been scrolling online in 2024, then chances are you might have come across a video of a celebrity trying to get you to click on a link or buy a product. But unlike a whole load of pointless celebrity endorsements, instead of it actually being Elon Musk or actually David Beckham speaking to you or an actual influencer, it could well be an AI version of them, a deep fake, a scam. I'm Harry Kind. Welcome to Get Answers.
When life gives you questions, which get answers.
Today, we're going to be deep diving into artificial intelligence, but a reminder too that before we hear more about today's big investigation, rather than being here every other Monday between now and Christmas, we'll actually be here every single week. So tell a friend, subscribe, and make sure you don't miss the latest episode. I'm joined today by Tally Ramsey, a journalist here at Witch, who has long been investigating the world of scams, but particularly AI scams, and trying to track down who exactly are putting these things out. It's an international conspiracy. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
This is such a great piece. It's such an interesting investigation. You've covered scams for quite a while, right?
Yeah, so I've looked into a lot of scams since I've worked here, particularly scams that happen online. So like social media scams, emails, texts, scam calls, things like that.
And can you briefly describe what are we talking about here?
Yeah, so basically we're talking about AI deepfake videos that are usually put on social media in the form of adverts, or sometimes they're not sponsored, they're just videos. Often they impersonate celebrities or news organizations. I saw a few impersonating like BBC broadcast episodes, so things like that.
And when we're talking about deepfakes, this is the new technology that basically takes one person's face and puts it on someone else's, or maybe kind of controls their lips to make it look like they're saying the wrong thing, allows people to copy and kind of clone voices. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes they'll like clone a voice and have loads of clips of a celebrity, and they'll kind of put it all together with that voice to make the celebrity say something that they never said. That's another method they use. But there's various different methods and technologies out there.
So when you started this investigation, what was it that you saw that kind of got the ball rolling?
I've reported on Quantum AI, this kind of global scam organization before. I've reported on scam videos they've had and also scam apps. Also, they were responsible for a really famous deepfake of Martin Lewis in 2023. And that kind of went viral. So I'd heard of them before, and then I saw more videos. So I started to think, oh, here's this, weird kind of these videos promoting financial schemes. But the main thing was just that the adverts were usually posted from random accounts. That they weren't like the official BBC account or anything like that, or a news organization. And also just they used a lot of sensationalist language. So it was secure your retirement, take control of your financial future, make this much money, that much money. So just things like that stuck out as being dodgy to me.
Which I always think is dodgy when Martin Lewis is saying, it's dodgy when it's on the BBC News. When it's Elon Musk making those claims, it's very hard to go, what is a normal Elon Musk claim and what is actually scam kind of language?
Yeah, that's true. That's probably why they use him so much. But I think even with him, there are limits.
I actually got scammed by one of these Elon Musk deepfakes, but I fully believe that they had hacked SpaceX. So I was trying to watch one of the rocket launches of one of these rockets going up and getting caught back by one of the plinths. And I thought, okay, great, nerdy little Harry, go onto YouTube, try and find one of these live streams. And I went on what I thought was the SpaceX live stream. It had hundreds of thousands of people watching it. And while the rocket was waiting to be launched, with all of the countdowns going, Elon Musk was on a screen, on a stage, quite far, in front of a big crowd, quite far from the camera, so you couldn't really get a good shot of him. And he was kind of talking about the rocket, but then also mentioning an investment program that he's got, or a Bitcoin giveaway that he was doing. And I genuinely thought that his feed had been hacked. And it took ages for me to realize that this wasn't the official SpaceX YouTube account. It was a complete fake version which had jumped up above it in the rankings and had so many thousands of people watching that I assumed it was the real one. It's so difficult to tell these things apart from the real ones sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. But I think because there are financial schemes that people are promoting online that aren't necessarily things that you've heard of, it can be hard to know what's real and what's not.
Well, that's quantum AI, right? Two words that people talk about a lot but don't understand either of them. When did we first start seeing that pop up?
So I saw it maybe about a year ago. I think I saw a BBC broadcast video interviewing Harry Styles about how he'd made a lot of money on this investment platform. So that was like one of the first videos that I remember seeing.
And so when you get these actual videos, they've kind of drawn you in. They are trying to presumably get you to go to another website to click a link. You actually click one of these links. Where did it take you?
So what happens is once you click on the link, you're taken to a fake news website. So, for example, it will be like impersonating BBC News Online, and it will be an article that actually does appear real, promoting the scheme. And then you have to fill in, I think it's your name, email address and phone number to sign in. So it also is a very quick process where people think, oh, I might as well just put in my details to see where it takes me, because you're not giving away any financial information at that point.
That doesn't sound like it's too much of a problem if you're just giving away that most basic information. What is the next step?
So the next step is you're contacted by a so-called financial advisor, and they kind of talk you through the process.
Is that just on the phone?
That's via phone.
Right.
So they usually ask you, have you invested before? Have you had any trading experience? How much money do you earn? Why are you looking to invest? So questions that appear legitimate. And then they want you to invest a minimum of £200 to £250 straight away. And then you get scammed.
I mean, it's quite a small amount of money. Obviously, it's a real pain for a lot of people. But in the great scheme of scamming, £200, £250 isn't as much as things that we've seen elsewhere. Is that all they're after, or is this just kind of the opening chess move?
It's definitely the beginning of a much bigger scam. And also, when you give away your financial details, bank accounts can be wiped. So it definitely is more than just 200. I just think that's a way of enticing people to think, okay, let me invest £200, see if I see any returns, which usually you will.
Right.
It's not real, obviously, but they'll tweak the interface to make it look like you are making money. So then you will invest some more.
So explain that. So if you actually did go down the rabbit hole of one of these, you might give over that money, and at first it would seem like you had made a profit. How are they making you believe that?
So they're in control of the technology. So once you're on this platform, they can make it say anything they like. So it's not real, but when you're looking at the interface of the app or the website, it will just look like you're making money. So it will make you want to invest more money.
That makes sense. A bit like, I guess, if you had like a fake Amazon and it said your gift card balance is £1 million.
Yeah.
And you try and spend it or withdraw that and it just wouldn't come out.
Yeah, exactly like that.
I mean, it's a pretty sophisticated kind of scam, right? Both in the bait, as it were, of that celebrity and trying to get that money from you later on and convince you that you're investing. This must be a huge operation.
Yeah, it is. And it's also global. So I noticed when I was looking at the news websites, there were also famous news organizations from Germany, Italy and Spain that were also being impersonated, and then America as well. So yeah, it did seem like quite a big operation.
And when you don't actually go through with the scam, and in your case, you didn't, right? You didn't send any money to them.
No.
How did the scammers respond to that?
So sometimes they did sound a bit annoyed. But other times I could tell they just gave up and said, okay. Because I did ask, can I call them back? Can I think about it? And they'd make up excuses. They'd say things like, oh, well, you can't call us back on this number. Or they'd give me another number, which when I called it, it didn't go through. So because they operate by spoofing numbers, obviously you can't call them back. So they need to get the investment done then and there.
And spoofing numbers is important. It features in a lot of scams. Can you explain a little bit about what that is, how that works?
Basically, spoofing a telephone number is copying a telephone number. So when you make a call, it appears as if you're calling from that number and not your own. And that can just be done by available technology.
And we've spoken in the past to Nick Stapleton about this, about how, it's very easy for people all over the world to spoof a number, to essentially just pay a few pounds to have what looks like a local Swansea number calling you, but actually from the other side of the world. Briefly, there is actually some change happening on this, like some good news, right, in terms of legislation.
Yeah, so from the 29th of January next year, Ofcom is making it compulsory for phone companies to block number spoofing on landlines.
Right, coming from abroad.
Coming from abroad, yeah.
In the future, it may well be impossible for you to look like you're coming from a at least UK landline number, but potentially a mobile number.
Yeah, hopefully, because I think obviously people trust local numbers much more and they're much more likely to pick up.
So they've built these very convincing fake-looking news websites. They've built very convincing fake platforms that they control your investment to make it look like you're making a load of money. And they've started with this very convincing-looking piece of bait, which is the celebrity endorsement. We've got a clip of one of these, right, that we can play, and let's see if people can actually tell that this is a fake Elon Musk.
Exciting news. Elon Musk's latest project could shake up the global economy. He has launched an investment initiative that has already turned hundreds of people into millionaires. Last week, Musk unveiled a new project that will operate exclusively in Europe and, according to him, has the potential to turn anyone into a millionaire within 3 to 4 months without any difficulties or significant investments.
I've always tried to make people around the world happy. Now we aim to help people rather than just make them happy. We want each and every person to be able to afford their dreams and desires. Our newest platform, Quantum AI, will help people get richer fast instead of working for every penny.
It is amazing to hear like that creepy robotic non-human voice and then to have an AI that has copied Elon Musk so well. It is an impressive piece of deepfakery, that, and listeners won't be able to see, but this had the context of a fake BBC News report, which looked pretty convincing, and then the Elon Musk clip was very cleverly done on like a Zoom call, which kind of disguises, I think, some of the slightly jankier elements of it to make you just think, oh, this is a poor quality video, which is a bit of an old school kind of cinema trick, I suppose, rather than anything too technological. But it is incredible. It is Elon Musk's face and Elon Musk's mouth and the words in his voice, but it is just promoting this dodgy technology. Have you ever been taken in by one of these at all?
I haven't, but I feel like because I work in scams, that's probably why. But beforehand, I definitely would have fallen for some of these because I do think they do look really convincing, especially the news websites, because the logos, they aren't blurry or anything like that. It does look quite legitimate.
And there are some things on here that are a bit of a giveaway, slightly different fonts sometimes. And I just think there's no point even thinking like that because one scammer will get it right. And if you are thinking, oh, I've checked this out, it looks convincing, that's when you're going to get scammed. It's better to just be a bit more just constantly skeptical, I suppose. So because you haven't taken the bait on this, you've refused to send any money, you are still getting calls, is that right?
Yeah, so it has toned down a little bit now, but I was getting anything between 10 to 20 calls a day.
A day?
Yeah, and they're mainly UK numbers, but some European numbers. And if you answer, they just say, do you want to complete your sign-up process? We saw that you signed up, but you didn't complete it.
It just shows the value of someone who's halfway down the road compared to trying to get new people into the scam, right? It's that once you've gotten that far you've expressed that interest, they're going to spend so much time and money trying to win you over.
Yeah, so what I started to do was call some of the numbers back just to kind of see what would happen. And with one of them, I was greeted with a voicemail saying that all the operators were busy. Obviously, it's probably a spoof number, so it's hard to say what that was pertaining to, but I did think it was quite interesting.
And that response is super generic. You wouldn't get any indication that this was an investment company or a scam company or anything.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the investigation, it didn't give me any leads or anything to look into.
Well, that sets us up very nicely for the second half on where your investigation took you next. So stay with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back after this.
Next time you need to get work done on your home, or your car, or your garden, make sure you choose a trader you can trust. And don't just choose any trader. Choose a Which? Trusted trader. Our trading standards professionals only endorse traders who've passed our rigorous assessment that includes credit reports, customer satisfaction surveys, reference checks, and interviews. When we say a trader's good enough to display our Which? Trusted trader logo, you can trust us. But don't take our word for it. Search Which? Trusted Traders online to see our directory of around 4,000 traders. Every customer review you read there is verified genuine by our moderators, so you can choose with confidence. To find a local trader you can trust, search Which? Trusted Traders or go to which.co.uk/traders. That's which.co.uk/traders. Everybody needs a trader they can trust.
Welcome back to Get Answers. We'll be here every week until Christmas, hearing from more brilliant journalists about their investigations. We're going to aim to keep it light-hearted by throwing in something Christmassy nearer to the big day later this month, so stay tuned for that. So, Tally, you've got the scammers trying to, break your door down to try and get you to invest, but these are phone numbers that are, from an investigation point of view, a bit of a dead end. Where did the trail lead next?
After realising I'm not going to get anything out of the numbers, I started to look into the websites. So I decided to look up the IP addresses of the websites, which are basically unique numbers that identify websites. And sometimes they can tell you where the server is located.
And so that's kind of you will often see it at a number when you're setting up your router with a lot of numbers and then a dot and then 3 numbers and 256 or whatever. That is the kind of unique identifier for a website.
Yeah, and a website server is essentially where the content of that website is stored. So I thought, okay, let me look at these IP addresses and see if they can give me any inkling as to where this could be operated from. But what happened when I did that is I realized that the IP addresses were hidden by Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is a company that offers a variety of online services. And one of these services is a reverse proxy. And a reverse proxy essentially just hides the IP address and the server location.
A little bit like a PO box in old parlance. Instead of having your address where people can send you post, you have this PO box. People can send you letters there and you can go and pick them up rather than it revealing where you live, right? So you can still communicate with people. So these are websites. You can't see where this website is, but they can still operate it.
Yeah, exactly.
And presumably then, you are left talking to Cloudflare, which is a huge company, absolutely massive. It is just a behemoth in terms of the tech world. Not an exactly promising place to end up in this investigation.
Yeah, so I did contact them and they refused to comment. So I reported all of the websites that used Cloudflare to them, like using their abuse reporting form. And some of them were taken down. Sometimes Cloudflare came back saying that I need to contact another company involved. Sometimes they said it didn't breach their policies. So it was quite confusing and didn't really lead me anywhere except from going round in a circle.
Essentially, these are the guys who are providing the anonymity that these scam companies need to survive, right? How are they allowed to, provide that service and then control what is or isn't abuse on their platforms?
Well, I think it's just like any online platform. It's like they're providing a service to anyone, but scammers are obviously going to abuse that. And it's hard to, I guess, their challenge is controlling the amount of fraud online, which is difficult.
And that means it's kind of almost impossible, really, to track back any of these companies. Did you get anywhere with a location for any of these?
No. So I also looked into where the websites were registered. Most of them were registered in Iceland, but apparently this address that they used is used in loads of scams.
Right.
I think it's just probably like an abandoned warehouse. So that was another red herring. So yeah, I didn't really get anywhere, unfortunately.
You've got all these steps of a scam, right? You have the social media where you originally see this video. You have a lot of phone calls that are happening with spoof numbers. And you have these websites which are pretty untrackable and untraceable. Is there, do you think, a weak point in that chain that we can exploit to stop these scammers?
So I think the main weak point is a lack of collaboration between each of the points that the scam jumps from. So I think social media companies, telecoms, website registrants, companies like Cloudflare, they do need to communicate with each other and collaborate to take scams down. I actually think that is starting to happen, though, because I think it was Meta who has decided to work with some UK banks collaboratively to look at specific scams. So they launched that recently, and things like that can help.
And is this something where the new Online Safety Act could come into play around banning scam ads?
Yeah, so the Online Safety Act is going to be regulated by Ofcom. So in December this year, they're going to publish their first edition of codes and guidance, which will be finalised in April next year. And that essentially prohibits fraud from happening online. How exactly that's going to happen, it's on the tech companies really to have policies and procedures in place to stop scams happening. Because how it works now is they're reported and sometimes they're taken down, but they're allowed to operate essentially. So there needs to be things in place to stop them from operating in the first place, which hopefully the Online Safety Act will address, but we don't quite know how yet.
Because this scam is still out there, it's still operating, those videos are still being posted all the time.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's just with this investigation coming to light, they could just change their name and carry on. It's really not that hard.
What have Ofcom said about this whole investigation?
So they said that they acknowledged the investigation highlighted how scammers used multiple channels to execute their scams successfully. And they said that because of this, there does need to be action from the police, government, regulators and industry collaboratively together. They talked about having plans to stop spoof numbers from abroad for mobile phones as well. And then they also referenced the Online Safety Act coming into force next year and holding tech firms responsible through that.
So potentially there's a lot of new regulation in the next 5 years that could make a major difference in all this.
Yeah.
We've been talking here about this scam, quantum AI, with multiple different videos impersonating different celebrities, taking you to different places, lots of different people calling you. Do you think these are all one scam? Do you think this is one evil mastermind controlling all this? Or is this a load of people playing the same con? They're pulling the same cup and ball trick that scammers would have done 100 years ago. It's just different people all jumping on this same name.
It's hard to say. It could be either, really. Because there were similarities that made me think that it could be like just a big scam operation. But then again, when I got all these calls, they were all obviously from different people. So it is hard to say, but it could be either.
And finally, then, we've talked a lot about what can happen with regulation, about the steps that have been taken to take this down. And I almost hate asking it because I don't think it should be up to us as consumers to look out for these scams. But what should people do if they want to try and keep themselves a little bit safer from these kind of scams?
I think with investment scams, you should definitely check the Financial Conduct Authority's register to see if financial companies are registered by them. Because if they're not, that's a major red flag. And also just, you can't really trust a lot that you can see on social media. Not that there isn't genuine financial advice and companies that advertise on social media, but I just think treat it with caution.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost go a step further with the worrying about fake celebrities. Don't take investment advice from a real celebrity. Any celebrity, they're not rich and famous because of their investment strategy.
Yeah, it's not their expertise.
So if you get an approach from an investment company that say it's Harry's Bitcoin Incorporated, then with the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, you essentially just head to their website, chuck that name in and see if there's a result?
Yeah, so they have a register, so you can check if a financial company is registered with them. And if it's not, it's a red flag because they regulate all the financial services in the UK.
So best keep to ones that have been registered there.
Yeah.
If you think you are halfway down that rabbit hole, maybe you have thrown £200 out there, but you now think, hold on, I've been scammed. What should you do then?
You need to call your bank immediately and explain the situation to them so they can take the appropriate steps to secure your account. And then you can also report it to Action Fraud, who collect data on scams reported to them.
And potentially your bank may even be able to get you that money back and reimburse to you. Well, that is positive. And I always say with these, don't bury your head in the sand. Everyone feels like an idiot when they get conned, but if everyone feels like an idiot, then you're not an idiot. It's something we can all fall foul of. It's something, there's a perfect scam out there waiting for each of us. And just because you were unlucky enough to get it hit you, don't think that you're stupid. You've just got to get into action, talk to people. And I think it's getting your revenge on those scammers by getting that money back and warning other people about them. Well, Tally, thanks for coming on the show and showcasing this story. It's absolutely fascinating. There's so many details that we didn't get into. So I really suggest people go and find it. Where can people find the story?
So it's in Which Tech in the December issue, and it's also online.
Fantastic. Take a look out for that. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully come back soon with some more scam news.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Get Answers. Tally's research originally appeared in the Which Tech magazine, but if you'd like to become a Which Tech member, you can find a link in the show notes of today's episode to find out more. Or if it's a full Which membership you're after, you can get 50% off right now. To do that, just visit which.co.uk/podcast offer. Tell them Harry sent you. I'll be back again on Monday, but in the meantime, you can also listen to our other podcasts, Which Shorts and Which Money. Just search for them wherever you get your podcasts. This episode was presented by me, Harry Kine, produced by James Rowe and Rob Lilly-Jones, and edited by Eric Breer. And thanks again to Tally Ramsey for joining us. We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.
If you're enjoying this podcast from us here at Which, then why not become a Which member? Right now, we've got a special offer, especially for podcast listeners, meaning you can choose any of our 3 membership tiers for 50% off the usual price. Starting at just £39.50 for a full year, you can get Which magazine delivered direct to your door. For the same price, you could also choose a digital Which subscription, giving you access to all of our product reviews, the Which app, and the digital edition of Which magazine. What's more, you'll also be able to use the Ask Which service for personalised one-to-one buying advice. Or why not get a full access Which subscription for just £49.50 for a full year? Don't forget, that's 50% off the usual price. To join Which or to find out more, just head to which.co.uk/podcast offer. That's which.co.uk/podcast offer. Or click the link in the description for today's podcast for 50% off a Which annual subscription.